Are you self-publishing your books and just kind of hoping for the best when it comes to actually having it categorized properly? Are you just leaving the category selection up to Amazon and just hoping for the best? Well, in today's video, I'm going to talk about how to self-publish a book in profitable categories, and this is one that you won't want to miss on, so stay tuned. I'm Dale, a best-selling author and self-publishing expert, and I want to show you how to publish books that sell. If you want that too, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, turn the bell notifications on, so that way you don't miss a single video. I want to give a big shout out to the sponsors of this channel right now, Vexels.com. They're a graphic design company that has hundreds of thousands of royalty-free images and graphic designs. They have such a deep back catalog of designs and ones that are starting to pile up. Here's the nice thing is they have 3 different plans you can choose from between just the Pro account, which actually I love the Pro account and I actually have it right now. I'm currently using it, to the merch account, to the business account. And each one of them you can actually order your own design. So say for instance you're not able to find a design that works out for you, well every month you can put in a specialized design just for you. So if you want to take advantage of what the Vexels actually has to offer, make sure you visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/Vexels. Again, that's dalelinks.com/Vexels. It really helps support this channel as well as help supporting an awesome company in Vexels. Hey, stick around to the end because I'm going to give you 2 invaluable tools that's going to save you a ton of time and remove all ambiguity when it comes to categorizing your Amazon book. Just a little bit of a review when it comes to actual category selection or niche selection, as some people would say. It's really complex when you first look at it, but it's rather basic. So I want to kind of get it down to the granular level just real quick before we move on. Categorizing your book is a better way for you to become more discoverable and for more exposure. Because if we, for instance, just put your book out into the market with no specific category, like if we use non-classifiable, for instance, then there's not going to be really any other way for people to find you outside of maybe the keyword selection that you have. That's why categories really can make or break the exposure and the likelihood of discoverability. You may already know that you can actually choose up to 2 categories in your KDP dashboard known as the BISAC category. It's also known as the Book Industry Standards and Communications. And I Googled up the actual definition of this, and it actually says the official definition of the term is an industry-approved list of standard subjects designed for use in the book trade in the US and English-speaking Canada. Meaning these codes are used to properly shelve your title at retailers. That Amazon isn't one to kind of use BISAC in the way you would think, because they're trying to make the shopping experience much easier for the browsing customer, so that way they can kind of find what they need, purchase it, and move on with life. So what they'll do is they take that BISAC code that you're going to select inside your dashboard, and then they're going to take the keywords that you selected and go, huh, and they have like a little bit of like a machine learned algorithm that figures out, okay, this book's got these keywords and they selected this BISAC category, so that means it's got to go over here in this one. And once you get your first sale, you actually will see inside the product details that you're going to be listed into 2 categories, sometimes a 3rd one, which kind of gets you scratching your head going, I only chose 2. Why'd they throw me into a 3rd one? They want to get it to where you have more discoverability. They want you to sell more books at the end of the day. But what actually happens sometimes is you're going to get thrown into a category maybe that you don't agree with, or maybe even other authors don't agree with. In fact, you'll find some people that have been slipped into categories and they really didn't purposely do it, or sometimes they actually do it and they do it for nefarious reasons because they believe that going into a category and become a #1 bestseller in the wrong category is a big victory. Yahoo! And I'll be honest with you, I already kind of covered how to get a bestseller not too long ago, and really it's not all that difficult. And if you want to get bestseller, then kudos to you, but it's rather, it's not the big victory you'd think it'd be. I'll put a link down inside the description down below if you want to check out that. So since it's not a perfect system and they do categorize your book in the wrong spots, it's up to you to do your own due diligence and actually getting it to where your book is put into the right categories. Now, before we do reveal that two-part process I'm going to kind of walk you through, it's important to note that yes, you can choose up to 2 browse paths or categories. You heard me say browse paths quite a bit. It's insider lingo. It's the same thing though. The browse paths are the categories. But you're allowed to actually have up to 10 browse paths per publication. And that's for Kindle ebooks and for print books. You can actually have up to 10 on each one of them. Pretty freaking cool, right? That's not so easy sometimes to find all 10 of them. In fact, if you're struggling to kind of figure out what browse paths you go into and like, oh, I need to get in all 10 of them, don't freak out. Sometimes there's some books that just won't get all 10 browse paths. But if you use some of this research method that I'm going to show you, you're probably going to find in due time a place for your book and where it should go. So I've got a 2-part system that you're going to actually use for vetting out the proper browse paths for your publication and also figuring out, is it going to be a category that's worth being listed in? Because you don't want to go into a fist fight and just try to get yourself to the top of a list where it's just impossible to be discovered. You don't want to be drowning in a sea of other books. So selecting the right categories is not just a case of what suits your title, but also what's going to suit for as far as getting yourself into the bestseller list for that specific browse path. So let's start it out with number 1, booklink.com. Now, not to be confused, it's actually bklnk.com. I discovered this through the Sell More Books Show podcast. Big shout out to Jim Kukral and Brian Cohen for sharing some of this information. Well, at any rate, on booklink.com, they have what's called the Cat Finder. And what you can do is actually find other books within your niche. So find something that's really doing good in your niche. So something that's at the top of the bestsellers lists or one of your highest competitors. Grab the ASIN inside the product details or even inside the website URL. I'm going to show it right here on the screen. You're going to highlight that. Press Control C and then go over to the Cat Finder, press Control V, drop it on in there and search. And it will pull up all the browse paths that are associated with this publication. Now, you could just stop at that and say, okay, well, I'll just go ahead and take these browse paths, deuces, I'm out of here. But it's important to kind of know, okay, are these browse paths really applicable, relevant to your publication? And you're going to know that if it's relevant to your publication. Now, the next thing is going to be proof of concept. And we want to make sure it's proof of concept in a way that favors us. Again, we don't want to go in to a gunfight with just fists because we're going to get our butts kicked. We want to make sure we're going into a browse path and a bestsellers list that's going to be suitable and puts us up to the top of the charts. Enter number 2. Publisher Rocket. Now, you've heard me long tout about Publisher Rocket here on this channel. And of course, I'm going to talk a little bit more about it here. If you want to get your hands on Publisher Rocket, go to dalelinks.com/rocket. So now that you got the browse paths, all you really need to do is go into the category search feature in Publisher Rocket and grab just a string of the words inside a given browse path that you found in the Cat Finder on booklink.com. And you'll go ahead and paste that on in there. Now, it's going to hopefully pull up that specific browse path, and we're going to look at what's the number 1 spot and what's their rank. How many books did it take to get to that point? The same thing is going to be for number 10 in the bestseller list for that browse path. What's their rank? How many book sales did it get to that point? And you got to kind of think in your head, what can you realistically and consistently do as far as performance when it comes to your specific book? So if you can think to yourself, okay, I can squeeze between this top 10, then you are definitely in the running for hitting the top of these charts. Now, you don't want to be finding browse paths that are, again, not relevant to your publication. Only find things that are relevant, and you'll know because you'll either match the rest of the people that are inside the bestseller list, or you're going to stick out like a sore thumb, So for instance, you don't want to have some werebear shapeshifter romance book inside a children's book category. That's just wrong. Even though the children's book category might be really easy for you to get to the top of the list, again, it's just kind of a real shallow victory, and no one's impressed by it. So once you feel comfortable that each one of these browse paths are working in your favor, just make sure you put it off to a sheet on the side, and you may have to rinse and repeat. You might have to find other books within your niche and go use booklink.com, drop the ASIN in there, figure out the browse paths, double check it with Publisher Rocket, and then you've got your entire list. Now you can probably go with all 10 if you want to, and that's fine. I would recommend going with 8 initially. Now, so what you're going to do is go into KDP and you're going to scroll down to the bottom, click on the Contact Us feature, and you're going to hit the book details. And it's actually, I think, somewhere like it says categories. You're going to go into there and say, erase whatever they have there. Say, enter ASIN, whatever the number is for your given ebook or your print book. Add ASIN, blah, 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 into these browse paths and categories. Thanks in advance. Now, in the event you have, say for instance, those 3 categories, you've already sold a book, and you see one of them that's not really conducive to your specific book, or it's just not relevant, you can let them know, hey, get rid of this particular browse path. You'll notice though in your product details, it's not a full browse path. They actually have them collapsed down, and that's because they really want to make for a less confusing experience for the customers. And yeah, it does create some confusion for us authors. Now, once they get that, they're going to go ahead and fulfill it, and they'll drop you an email. So keep an eye on your email inbox to make sure that they actually put those browse paths in there. Typically takes anywhere from about 24 to 72 hours for them to fulfill that and get it to where it's rocking and rolling. I actually talk about that quite a bit inside the Bestseller Book Launch Checklist. You can actually get that for free when you head on over to dalelinks.com/checklist. Download that, and actually I walk you through not just selecting the proper categories, but when you should do it in a proper launch sequence. While we're talking about choosing the right categories and the right niches, believe it or not, I actually have a more granular, in-depth coverage of how to choose your niche in this next video. You're going to want to make sure you click on that. I'll see you there.